won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We got a great show for you today. We're going to start out with an article, Biden Blitz, man. Excuse me. The Biden Blitz is coming. Apparently, they're going to set Joe Biden free, let him loose on the American public. And we'll talk about the wisdom and the reality of that in just a moment. And then a Texas representative, member of Congress, predicts that over 1 million to flood our southern border by summer's end, by beginning of summer, actually, if we continue to move in the trend line that we are moving. And we'll talk about that. Before I go any further, I always have to mention our sponsors, Big Daddy Unlimited, otherwise known as BDU. Check out above the show, no matter when or where you're watching it. Look above the video. You'll see a description of our show. Scroll down on that. You'll see various links. They'll take you to our sponsors, Big Daddy Unlimited, your Second Amendment headquarters. They can furnish you with guns and ammunition at factory direct pricing delivered directly to your door, as well as over 100,000 other items related to your Second Amendment needs, from survival gear to tactical gear to protective wear, you name it, they've got it at Big Daddy Unlimited. Check it out, factory direct pricing. They're also your Second Amendment headquarters because they literally defend your Second Amendment on a daily basis. We have patriotthreads.org. Look for the link above the show, as I said before, patriotthreads.org, apparel with a purpose. Remember the promo code, it's the initials of our show, John Martin Talks, JMT. You get 20% off. They are a fulfillment center, which means they can design patriotic themed shirts for charity, that type of thing. They can help you pick out the charity you want to donate money to. They can help you with on that side with planning events and those types of things. Check out patriotthreads.org, apparel with a purpose. Remember, promo code JMT for 20% off. Recoil TV. Now, Recoil TV has their own YouTube channel. Of course, we have our own. It's John Martin Talks, spell it out. But we're archived on a daily basis on Recoil TV. They are also all about the Second Amendment. They have a magazine as well. But Recoil TV can show you videos on the latest weaponry, any kind of gadgets, if you want to call it that, related to the Second Amendment. You can't go wrong with Recoil TV, and we're absolutely honored to be a part of that organization. All right, let's get into the stories here. This is a Politico article. The Biden Blitz is coming. The Biden Blitz is coming. I love this meme. I've been posting it every so often. To me, that cartoon is truer than they want you to know right there. There's old Joe wheeling in behind. The new president, talking about Joe Biden, not Kamala Harris, although she has a major role in this. The new president is planning more media, a major speech, an address to Congress, and a road show featuring Vice President Kamala Harris, all with the eye on promoting the massive soon-to-be-passed COVID bill. Now, we talked about the COVID bill in depth yesterday. It's basically a gigantic bailout bill, has very little to do with COVID, and it is likely to pass sometime today. There's a few little odds and ends they got to work out, but it is most likely to pass, according to Nancy Pelosi, sometime today. So check it out. If you want to check out our podcast, there's several ways to do that. Of course, you can go to our YouTube channel, John Martin Talks. You can go to the Recoil TV, as I said. You can also go to America's Voice News. We're archived there on a daily basis. America Voice News is a great alternative to the mainstream media. They have free iPhone and Android apps. You can check out Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV. They're on channel 219, Dish Network, and the Pluto channel. We're not currently on there live, but we are archived on there every day. So go to their streaming service, look at the shows tab, click on that, and you will see us there on America's Voice News, and we're honored to be a part of that. But it says here, that they're promoting a massive soon-to-be-passed COVID bill. Now, he's going to do all of this stuff, Joe Biden. I don't know how they're going to do it before 6 p.m. every day, right? Because isn't that kind of the reported time that Joe Biden retires to the, quote, residence, somewhere between 6 and 8 p.m. every single day? But I don't know how he's going to go on this, rock star tour and retire at 6 o'clock, maybe on Air Force One, I guess. President Joe Biden spent the first months of his presidency hunkered down as he was, I can't hunkered down, hidden down. Excuse me. I'm battling a little bit of a chest cold here, ladies and gentlemen, so, hang in there with me. I get this kind of stuff about once a year, and no, I don't think it's all this and that and the other. People do actually get sick from something other than COVID, right? There is the old flu, but President Joe Biden spent the first months of his presidency hunkered down as he worked on getting more vaccines into people's arms and a massive bill to deal with the pandemic to his desk. Deal with the pandemic. Well, this massive, I wish it did deal with the pandemic. Basically, according to researchers, there's only about 9 or 10% of this $1.9 trillion that has any direct effect on American people and COVID. It's a gigantic bailout bill, a lot of it going to states and cities, blue states and blue cities that didn't manage their affairs very well. Very little of this is actually going to COVID. Biden is scheduled to deliver his first primetime address as president Thursday, which will focus on the COVID crisis. Later this month, he'll hold the first press conference of his young presidency. The first press. Well, Billy Bob tells, if you hadn't met my psychic sidekick, he's Billy Bob Bass. He has a Twitter handle. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1, and mine is at John Martin Talks. Yes, we're still on Twitter. We don't update it enough, but I'll try to remedy that. We're determined, by the way, to stay in the public square no matter what. Facebook, Twitter, we're trying to expand across everything. I mentioned this yesterday, but let me mention it again right now. If you are someone who wants to consume shows like ours, if you're looking for something outside the mainstream media, then there is a specific challenge to doing that. You are going to have to be more proactive. You cannot be a passive viewer because make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, shows like ours are under attack, directly under attack by like Facebook algorithms and putting people in jail. Oh, algorithm, I give all due deference and praise, but we're being turned down. I mean, I gave you this example yesterday, but about this time last year, we had some of our shows just on Facebook now go over 200,000 views. Then they started knocking us back. And we got back and forth. We got it back up to about 30,000 views. Now they've knocked us down to where we're getting a couple thousand views across Facebook on networks that have 340,000 members in that Facebook group. Facebook and other entities are knocking us back. So I say that to say, if you're looking for notifications, those kind of things, they're not doing that anymore. You're going to have to seek out programs like ours, and you're going to have to share them any way you can via emails, anything else. Tell people, because make no mistake about it, if you're outside the mainstream media, you are under attack. So you're going to have to be more proactive. But Billy Bob Bass tells me that, because they're talking about here later this month, they say that Biden will hold his first press conference of his young presidency. The word young and him, it's interesting to be in the same sentence. But Billy Bob tells me that we actually have a video of Joe Biden rehearsing for his first press conference. Sometime he pulls a trick on me, so let's see if he's right. Check it out.
I think he was getting on a plane. He told me he came in to see me last event. And Representatives Shirley Jackson Lee, Al Green, Sylvia Garcia, Lizzie Pinelli, Pinnell, and what am I doing here? I'm going to lose track here. And
what am I
Mayor
doing
Turner.
here? That was actually a real deal about 2 weeks ago in Texas. Joe Biden, what am I doing here? He asked himself tougher questions than the media has ever asked him. What am I doing here? I mean, this guy is ready for prime time. Now, they must think that this blitz is going to work. I don't know. I know that dude right there is not ready to take any tough questions. Whether or not he gets any tough questions is another story. But he, talking about Biden, is committed to making a still unscheduled address to Congress, and officials are busy preparing for a sprawling sales campaign designed to draw attention to the benefits of the COVID relief package. Well, have they found a miracle drug or something? I mean, this would be excellent news coming out of COVID. I'm not talking about a miracle drug for COVID. Have they found a miracle drug for senility? Because Biden appears to be totally senile to me. Totally. I mean, he just and this is the best he's ever going to be. I talked about this earlier last week. This is the best that Joe Biden is ever going to be. We don't really have a cure for senility. Maybe they found one. That would be excellent news because they have confidence that he can pull this big campaign sell off, a full-fledged press conference, a full-throated talk to a joint session of Congress, being able to go out on the road and sell this COVID relief thing. I don't know. Maybe, I'm just saying, maybe Andrew, I get the Cuomo's mixed up sometimes. Maybe Andrew Cuomo threatened Biden. Maybe he got him truly awakened. Maybe he threatened to put him in a nursing home if he don't tighten up, because that we know would be a death sentence coming from Andrew Cuomo. Do you see, I think a sixth person now has come out and accused Cuomo of misdeeds. We'll see what happens there. Biden, First Lady Jill Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and others will hit the road to tout, among other things, the $1,400 checks. Remember originally when he was campaigning in Georgia for those 2 Senate seats, he said it was going to be $2,000, but they cut us a bit short. I mean, with 1.9 trillion, what's 600 more bucks, right? But the $1,400 checks, how billions of dollars in the bill will reopen schools and the investments being made in increasing the numbers of vaccinations. Ladies and gentlemen, do we really need billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars to reopen the schools and reopen business? Why don't we just do it? I mean, the governor of Texas, I think today is the official day where the mask mandate is lifted, and they're basically reopening the entire state of Texas. Florida's pretty much been open for quite some time now. Why don't you just do it? We've been in school here in Florida with no major incidents that I'm aware of since the beginning of the fiscal school year. So why not just do it? Why do you have to have billions of dollars to open up schools? Why? I mean, they were functioning about as well as they're going to function before. The school system right now is in total disarray. And you have these teachers' unions that are running the show. And it's just unbelievable. The unions are running the show with the Biden administration. This article actually talks about that. I'm not getting too deep into it, but the unions are definitely getting their way. Part of the White House strategy before the COVID package passed was aimed at avoiding the kinds of storyline distractions that Biden can sometimes create in less guarded moments. That's one reason the White House so far has avoided putting Biden in front of reporters for more in-depth questions. More in-depth question. When was the last time Joe Biden got an in-depth question? Because here's the thing. When it comes to questioning, there's 2 parts to in-depth questioning. There's the initial question. And most politicians are pretty well skilled at answering a non-answer to a question. The most important thing is the follow-up question. The follow-up question. You go back and look at some of President Trump's pressers. They would ask him a question. He would answer it pretty honestly, but then they would hammer him with a follow-up question, which he handled very well, by the way. But Joe Biden never gets a follow-up question. And even his press secretary, Paskey, or however you say her name, if she gets a follow-up question, her response is, I'll circle back with you on that. They don't ever answer follow-up questions. They rarely get a follow-up question. I can't remember the last time Joe Biden got one. But I guess the last time I remember getting a follow-up question, maybe I should have played this video, but you remember this. He and his granddaughter out on the campaign trail, and they bought some milkshakes or ice cream or something. And the press asked him, what flavor of ice cream did you get? And he went into in-depth explaining all of that. And then they asked him, well, what about the FBI investigation? And he went, and walked off. You know, who ever gets that chance to do that? Only Biden. So Biden taking questions, it's going to be really interesting because he was ready. Maybe this is what they're talking about. He was ready to take questions this past week. I don't know if you've seen this video. I've played it a couple times, but it certainly bears replaying and repeating if I say it. This is Joe Biden. This is not doctored at all. This is Joe Biden last week. He was participating in basically a Zoom-type meeting with members of Congress. And I assume they were going back and forth a little bit. When he was through, he was thanking them for doing it. And then he said to Nancy, he said, Nance, so he's talking about Nancy Pelosi, I'll take questions if that's what you want. And watch what happens. Check it out.
Thank you, thank you. And I'm happy to take questions if that's what I'm supposed to do, Nance, whatever you want me to do.
There you go. Did you catch that? So he asked Nancy if he said, I'm willing to take questions if that's what you want me to do, Nance. And the White House cut it off. Boom. Crickets. They didn't want Joe Biden to take questions from the Democrats in Congress. If he can't take questions from the likes of Nancy Pelosi, how's he going to take questions? But maybe there won't be any difference. Maybe they know something that we don't, that he's not going to get any questions. Maybe they found a miracle drug. I might need it myself. Biden enters this new phase in an enviable position. Apparently, his poll numbers are up pretty good, according to this article. Support for the coronavirus legislation is sky high, but we're getting paid, as is confidence in the president's handling of the pandemic, or plandemic, depending on how you look at it. Robert Gibbs, who was Obama's press secretary, he said this. He said, I think they, talking about the Biden administration, start from a very popular place with the 44th president passed, talking about Obama. When the 44th president passed his own Recovery Act, this legislation from the polling looks more popular than the 2009 bill. So they're saying that the big stimulus package, the big $1.9 trillion pandemic package is more popular than Obama's bill was. The real question now, according to Mr. Gibbs, is driving that awareness. They should be reminding, talking about the Biden administration, they should be reminding people as often as they can what's in it for them. What's in it for them? This is the foundation of essentially what they're going to run on in 4 years. So he's already talking about the re-election of Joe Biden. I don't know that it's going to be him, but whoever, and the midterm elections, it could impact them. But I like how they said this, that this should be reminding people as often as they can what is in it for them. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the key to all of this. We are being bought off. We're being sold a bill of goods, and we're lapping it up as a general people. I want to play a clip, because keep this in mind when I play this clip. Listen to what Joe Gibbs just said that the Biden administration needs to do to the Democrats out there, the American people, needs to remind them what is in it for them. Contrast that thought to this famous Democrat on his inauguration. Check it out.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Wow. Think about that. That is the Democratic Party of JFK that I kind of grew up with. And my dad, I was a Democrat, and I admired Kennedy. I don't know if I should have or not, but I did. You learn those kind of things. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And now fast forward to Biden 46, and you basically have what's in it for you. I mean, if that doesn't sum up where the Democratic Party used to be and where they are now, I don't know what does. What's in it for me? And that's pretty much what we're doing as American people. And that's why I'm always optimistic. That's why I battle ignorance and apathy on a daily basis. But at the same time, it's hard not to be pessimistic when you realize that basically we are addicted to the government teat. We really are, even conservatives. White House officials said they plan to build off the approaches they've taken over the last several weeks in growing support for the plan's passage. That includes making the case directly to Americans through interviews with local media and leveraging the coalition of, if they want to come on the John Martin show, I'll interview you, Mr. Biden. Coalition of groups and leaders who have endorsed the rescue plan. Says so far, they said, the White House said, more than 400 bipartisan mayors and governors, officials in organized labor and the business community, economists, and other experts have spoken favorably about the package. Well, I wonder why. Why have they spoken favorably about the package? Because, as Margaret Thatcher, the famous Iron Lady of England, said, socialism works as long as you don't run out of other people's money. So as long as you're not having to pay the bill, It's okay. Give me that money. Gimme. Somebody's got to pay the bill. I guess we keep talking about our grandchildren and everything else, but the bill will eventually come due. Is it too late, ladies and gentlemen? Is it too late already? I don't know. I don't want to think it's too late, but I know one thing. We are definitely addicted to government spending. Big time. Remember the Tea Party? The Tea Party was supposedly controversial. But if you actually look at what the Tea Party represented, their stated goals was limited government and fiscal responsibility. That is the essence of the original Tea Party. That is the essence of our Constitution: limited government and fiscal responsibility, personal responsibility. And I don't know if we may be over the hump in that, because we're definitely post-constitutional, and people are worried about what is in it for them. I mean, I hear this all the time. They'll talk about, well, what did President Trump, let's say, do for Black America? Well, what was he supposed to do? I mean, when I hear that question, I'm like, well, what is he supposed to do? What is the president supposed to do for Black America, Hispanic Americans? How about having a robust economy, having money in your own pocket where you can then make decisions on your own? That's what he did. Black unemployment was at an all-time low before the pandemic happened. Black business ownership was up 400%. Black home ownership was up to all-time highs. What is a person supposed to do? I mean, when I hear that term, well, what did you do for Hispanic Americans or white America? I don't like that term at all, because you're supposed to do something for American people, period. And it's supposed to be the rule of law under the U.S. Constitution. That's what we need. But I don't know. We may be the horse may be out of the barn. And is Biden up for this? Is Biden up for this blitzkrieg tour they're talking about? Remember, we played this video just the other day, but this was from like in the middle of the campaign, once Biden pretty much secured the nomination. They had a Zoom meeting of top Democratic operatives, and the person you're about to hear from is Terry McAuliffe. He was one of the henchmen, so to speak, operatives in the Clinton administration, became governor of Virginia, and was also the chairman of the National Democratic Party. And he's talking about running for governor again. I think maybe he's already announced it. Virginia, look out, here he comes again. But he said something really interesting in this Zoom conference thing where he talked about what they ought to do with Biden. Check it out.
People say all the time, oh, we got to get the vice president out of the basement. He's fine in the basement. 2 people see him a day, his 2 body people. That's it.
So there you go, man. You got Biden in the basement. He's saying keep Biden in the basement. We're winning with Biden in the basement. So I question whether or not they should have this strategy of taking Biden out of the basement. Apparently he's winning while he's in the bunker of the White House, so to speak, or in the residence at 6 o'clock every night. So I don't know if this is a smart strategy or not, because I'm being willing to bet that this thing does not end well for them. Because to me, the more you expose Joe Biden, the more likely you are to have this result. A train wreck ready to happen. I think it's more likely that you'll have that. I don't wish that on Joe Biden. I mean, I'd actually like to see him be somewhat successful, because we got to deal with him. I'm not one of these types of people that goes, not my president and all that kind of stuff. I worked awfully hard for Donald Trump, and I intend to work for him hard again if he runs again. And I want to defeat the Democrats at all costs. But at the same time, we have to deal with the reality as it is. And they're running the show right now. It is what it is. All right, we're going to move on to a story that's very troubling, the continuation of the problems at the border. Let me check my time. I'm actually doing probably too good. I might not have enough material today. Imagine that. This is a Breitbart story. McCall, by summer, this, and he's a Texas representative in Congress. By summer, y'all see somewhere around 1 million people trying to enter U.S. illegally. Biden created a humanitarian crisis at the border. This is a real picture. I showed it, I think, yesterday or day before. This is not a doctored photograph. These are people on the Mexican side of the border pleading with Joe Biden to let us in. So they're pretty well organized. There's a group out of Chicago, I think, that actually makes all of this kind of stuff happen. On Tuesday's broadcast of the Fox News channel's The Story, Representative Michael McCall, Republican of Texas, predicted that by the summer there will be probably somewhere around 1 million people trying to get into this country illegally. Now, we reported to you the other day that over 6%, the latest figure is about 6.9%, of the people that are being apprehended crossing the Texas border right now are testing positive for COVID-19, positive for corona. And they're subsequently being released not only into Texas, but getting on buses and being dispersed across the United States of America. So I want to put this in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. And this, keep in mind, is the people that they catch and test. It has nothing to do with the people they don't catch. We're going to round it up from 6.9 to just 7%. So they're saying if this Texas representative, Mr. McCall, is right, that by summer they'll have 1 million people clamoring to get in the United States of America illegally. If you use the current stats, that's basic. 7% tested positive. That is 70,000 people that are COVID positive being released into our nation. Now, I told you that today, Texas is officially lifting the mask mandate and basically open up businesses. Governor Abbott of Texas said this, and he was called everything but a child of God called racist for saying this. He basically, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, he basically said, look, Joe Biden is allowing tens of thousands of people that are testing positive for COVID, come across the border into Texas every day and being released. He said, so I'm not going to restrict my people beyond the level that the illegal immigrants are being restricted to. Now, he was called everything but a child of God. In fact, Joy Reid on MSNBC called him an outright racist for saying that. He's just speaking the truth. It reminds me, as I've been telling you, Orwell. George Orwell famously said that the more society drifts away from the truth, the more they will hate those that speak it. That's why they hate Mr. Abbott. McCall said, President Biden says he wants us to be humane. He's actually created a humanitarian crisis. Of course, his Homeland Security person said there is no crisis down there, right? Remember when Trump signed his emergency orders, the Democrats kept saying, oh, it's a manufactured crisis. It's a manufactured crisis. Well, what is happening at the border right now is being manufactured by Joe Biden and his administration and the Democrats. President Biden said he wants us to be humane. He actually created a humanitarian crisis. These poor children, they get trafficked all the way up to that dangerous route, and now we don't have enough detention space to put them in, and then you've got COVID crisis down there as well. I think they have created this Biden's border crisis. They need to fix it, is what Mr. McCall said. Well, let me say something about the children right quick. Like I've mentioned this the other day, but I think it's a good point. I'm not saying that people from Mexico and Central America, Guatemala, Honduras, love their children any less than anybody else. I actually think that they let these children, because they know the system, they love their children, but they are so desperate. Think about that SUV that crashed with 28 people in it when it's only supposed to hold 6. As I said, how desperate do you have to be the 28th person, let alone the first person in there? But these parents are so desperate that they let their children cross the border with the hope that if they get to stay, that they can chain migration all of the other people into the country. So I'm not saying they don't love their children. They're just desperate. And we're creating desperation and misery at the border, which is totally unnecessary. and I lay that on the feet of Joe Biden. But like Mr. McCall says here, let me read this part again. He said, I think they have created this Biden border crisis, talking about the Democrats. He said they need to fix it. I think he's not looking at it correctly here. They don't need to fix it. They are fixing it. This is what they want. This is a plan. It's not like they're sitting back and go, oh, wait a minute, man. Our plans for having an open border and a welfare state, they backfired. No, they know what's going to happen. This is a manufactured crisis. It's intentional. They have no intention of, quote, fixing it because the fix is already in. The idea of having people just bum rush the border is part of their overall long-term solution to hold on to power forever. If they can get, if you look at what they're trying to pass through Congress, basically letting anybody vote at any time, anywhere, without any kind of ID, they're actually hoping that they do the opposite of what Kennedy said about, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, to what their slogan is now. What's in it for you? Well, what's in it for these illegal immigrants is that they get free medical care, free education, everything free. And the only thing they're supposed to do is lockstep vote for the Democrats. So they're not trying to fix it. This is the fix for perpetual power. But Mr. McCauley added, he said, I think it's not only a threat to these children who are being exploited, but they know the laws in our country. That's what I was just talking about. But it's also a threat to Americans, this population coming in. Biden has cut off these agreements with Mexico, Central America, where they have had to stay in Mexico to apply for asylum. A lot of people don't understand this. International law. Now, I'm not a big UN person. I'd be happy to do away with it. But international law, when it comes to asylum, you're supposed to, when you leave one country and go to another, you're supposed to seek asylum in the first country you come to. That is international law. So if you cross from Central America into Mexico, the first place you're supposed to seek asylum is in Mexico. So Donald Trump was trying to get them to follow international law. And I've always asked about the UN, if we're going to have a UN, why aren't they on the southern border of Mexico making sure the international law is followed? Why? Or at least on our southern border, making sure it's followed. Because they don't care. And it says, and now Mr. McCauley said, and now I've seen this before. Martha and I predicted this by summer. I guess that's the Fox News analyst. You're going to see, as my governor just said, talking about Mr. Abbott, probably somewhere around 1 million people trying to get into this country illegally. Think about that, 1 million people. And what's the number we keep hearing? Oh, there's 11 million illegal aliens. I've been hearing that since I was almost in high school, man. There's probably 30 million. There's 11 million illegal aliens in California alone, probably in LA County alone. So that figure is totally bogus no matter what. But he says to get in this country illegally, and he said, and as I've said before, it's ironic that you can get into this country illegally easier than you can get a tour of this Capitol right behind me. And that is kind of crazy, isn't it? Think about that. We've shown the Capitol in wire and fenced up. You can't even get into the Capitol right now. The Capitol is more defended by far than our southern border is. It's unbelievable. And think about this. I'm going to play you a video right now. It's about a month old, but this is people crossing, I believe, from Guatemala into Mexico, but don't hold me to that. It's one of those border states. And I think it was actually from Honduras to Guatemala, now that I think about it. But check out these people and how desperate they are to get here. Check it out.
Increíble. Sí.
Looks pretty desperate, doesn't it? Like I say, I don't blame these people at all. I don't blame them. It's sad, makes me sad. But what really makes me sad is that those people right there that are caravanning up here, that are bum rushing through security guards, that are going to do the same thing in our border, they probably won't even be held up at all at our border under Biden. Those people have more rights as than people like this. I think we got a picture. Yeah, look at that. Is that a Trump rally? Yeah, I think so. Trump rally picture. They have more rights than those people. People who are coming here illegally have more rights than American citizens. In fact, if you're wearing a Trump shirt these days, excuse me, you're considered a terrorist, right? There was a story I was going to do in Michigan. There's a house in Michigan right now that has a Trump flag in front of it. And then on top, like the second story in the window, they have a Biden sign that says F, and it's blacked out, basically, Biden. And now this person is coming under fire. Now, I'm not a big advocate of people using foul language and stuff like that. But they're saying it's a free speech issue and everything else, and that this is a vile thing and should be taken down. How many times did we see vile stuff about Donald Trump just on a routine basis? He was called everything by a child of God, even by the media themselves. Outright racist, right? So there is no double standard. There's a standard for the left. A standard for the right, and there's no standard for the left, no matter what. I want to play a video here. This is Donald Trump at a campaign rally shortly before the actual election on November 3rd. And as I play this, I want you to think about answering that question, a couple of questions. One, do we miss him? Ain't no doubt about that to me. But think about all he is saying here and what he accomplished and what we've lost. And he basically is telling us exactly what is going to happen if Joe Biden, God help us, became president. And he's spot on. Check it out.
Biden's plan will destroy 5 million jobs, eliminate $2.6 trillion in wealth, and hurt lower and middle income families the most of all. I will deliver optimism, opportunity, and hope. Biden will deliver pessimism, poverty, and decline. For the last 47 years, Joe Biden has been outsourcing your job, opening your borders. Oh, by the way, our border is closed. That's why you never hear about it. You ever notice you don't hear about that? You don't hear about our vets anymore because we take such good. Remember, every night you'd hear about vets. Before me, 91% approval rating with our vets. Our vets voted 91%. We never had anything like it. And sacrificing American blood and treasure in endless foreign wars in countries that you've never even heard of. And they're all coming back. You know that, right? I hope nobody objects. I think 19 years in Afghanistan is enough, wouldn't you say? We're like a police force over there. We have the greatest soldiers in the world, but over there, we're like a police force. 19 years is enough. You think it's easy getting out with all the military-industrial complex, right? Dwight Eisenhower, beware the military-industrial complex. They're right, but we're all coming home. They're all coming home. In 2016, North Carolina voted to fire this depraved political establishment, and you elected an outsider as president who is finally putting America first.
The answer to the question, do we miss you? Yes. And he pretty much sat there and predicted exactly what would happen if a Biden became president. On a side note, did you happen to see, maybe I'll put it on my Facebook page, but Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. were in New York City yesterday or day before. And there was an impromptu demonstration of Trump supporters. There were thousands of people, totally unplanned, took to Fifth Avenue and basically took it over for about 10 minutes till the cops came and ran them off. Donald Trump is still very much loved. Now you contrast that video I just played, because I've been telling you all along, when it comes to these progressives, take them at their word. And I play this quite often, but I don't think you can play it enough because they tell you exactly what they want, exactly why the fix is in at the border, that this is the fix they want. There's nothing to fix. Matter of fact, they want it to get even worse. And when I play this is Antifa talking about exactly what they want to see. And I had someone chime in the other day and say that I was taking this out of context. And I challenged them to say, tell me what context I should take it in. Because I think it pretty much speaks for itself. But let's listen to it and you tell me what you think. Check it out. See, I take them totally at their word. No borders, no walls. That equals no USA at all. That is exactly what they want. So I don't care what Biden does on this grand tour he's about to do or what. I mean, to me, they are fundamentally destroying America right now. And it is happening at the southern border. And even people of Mexican descent down in Texas are standing up and voting for Donald Trump. There were 2 counties down in southern Texas that are way predominantly Hispanic, totally Democrat, and they flipped and voted big time for Donald Trump this time around. In fact, their representatives, Tucker Carlson, did a great show on this the other night. They're actually calling out Biden, their elected representatives who are Democrats, saying that they're destroying their districts with this rampant illegal immigration. So we have decisions to make, ladies and gentlemen. Are we going to just, ask what's in it for me? Like, are we going to take the lead from the Democrats? Are we going to challenge any of this stuff? I don't know. I'm not sure we are. But anyway, I'm going to continue to challenge it. I'm going to continue to battle ignorance and apathy on a daily basis. I need your help. I need you to seek us out. Share it far and wide. We're looking for more venues to get our show out there because I do believe, maybe this is egotistical for me to say it, I believe we got a good message and we need people to hear this. So I need you to share that message. I need you to check out our sponsors, Big Daddy Unlimited. Look at Recoil TV. Check them out. Of course, patriotthreads.org, 20% off with the promo code JMT. We got others coming down the line. Check it out. Spread our show far and wide. Go to our YouTube channel. Spell it all the way out. John Martin Talks. Subscribe to it. We need more views there. I commit to you that as long as I possibly can, I'm going to keep battling ignorance and apathy on a daily basis. And as long as you'll support me, I'm going to continue to show up through thick and thin. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go directly to John Martin Talks Facebook page, like it, share it with others, share all of it across the board. But as I say, I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. Let's all pray for this great nation because, man, does she deserve it and probably needs it now more than ever. But above all else, like I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.